My name is Andy Runyan, and I am the VP of Cyber Specialty at Brightline Insurance Services based out of Dallas, Texas, and I deal daily with cyber liability insurance. Is cyber liability insurance required? The answer to that is no in large, but yes sometimes. There are very, very few scenarios where a business is required to carry cyber liability insurance. What we're seeing from a government regulation standpoint, and then sometimes from an individual private business standpoint, is people are starting to demand an evidence of insurance for cyber liability just like they would general liability for a contractor or a third party. In regards to claims over the last few years, I always refer to it as pre-COVID and post-COVID. COVID was a major landmark in the cyber claim space simply because everybody shifted from working in the office space to working at home. Everybody was trying to just make it to 5 o'clock. So there were a lot of security issues, which meant that the vast majority of breaches previously were large business. Now that shifted to small business. Over half of the breaches now are small business. In Q3 of 2022, attacks in certain sectors, particularly education, was up as much as 28% from the previous year. First thing is multi-factor authentication, or as we in the industry call it, MFA. There are so many insurance companies now that are requiring that as a qualifier just to get insurance at all. Or if you don't have it on, you might see your premium increase by as much as 200%. So MFA being the most important, and then probably the second most important thing is going to be employee training. Some of the data that we see says that 91% of breaches in regards to ransomware come from phishing attempts. So simply just educating your people on what to click on, what not to click on, kind of lead with a generally suspicious heart whenever it comes to email. Those are probably the two most important things. I would tell a business owner, if they're asking about controls that are in place and you don't have them in place, say you don't have them in place. There's this narrative out there right now that the big bad insurance companies don't want to pay in the event of a claim. The reason that claims don't pay is because misleading statements on an application. Do you have MFA in place on all logins? Yeah, sure we do. And then a breach happens because 5 or 6 people didn't have MFA. Yeah, the main thing is just to be honest on those apps. Yes, in the sense that there were a lot of claims post-COVID, so the market has hardened. And if you don't have the proper controls in place, if you don't have MFA, if you don't have proper firewall technology, if you don't have off-site backups, if you're not training your employees, yes, it's much harder to get coverage, especially affordable coverage. That'll make the premium go up. No, it's not harder to get coverage in the sense that we have a lot more players in 2022 heading into 2023 than we did in, say, 2017, 2018. There are just a lot more companies out there, and some of those folks that are new to the market want to write business, and they're willing to take on an appetite that some of the folks that maybe were hit by the COVID losses have backed away from. What's lengthened the process a little bit is the apps are much longer. The questions are more in detailed. So it's why the IT service provider is so important in the process now. They're looping in their MSP to make sure those questions are answered properly. In the last 12 months, premiums by and large have skyrocketed. We've seen premiums in cases sometimes double or even triple. And a lot of that has to do with either losses in the sector specific to the business or lack of controls due to more extensive underwriting. Establish the appropriate controls, particularly multi-factor authentication. You should see your premium at least stay close to what it was before. The second thing is just loss history. If you've had a breach, you can expect a higher premium moving forward. Generally, what we see is increased premiums moving forward or them being denied coverage altogether. What they can do is consult with the company about certain controls that they would like to see moving forward, and then establish a breach response plan within their organization. And again, that comes down to an open conversation between the business owner, the managed service provider, and the insurance agent. Get to know your policy. If you haven't had a sit-down consultation with your managed service provider and your insurance agent, really dig into that policy and find out what's there, what's not there, what the limits are, what the exclusions are, and that's going to involve finding somebody that specializes in cyber liability insurance.